to Yoga with Joyful. This is Joyful. Joyful is the cat. I'm going to wait a few minutes before we begin our practice. Today's practice is based on information that's on this book, which is called Om Yoga by Cindy Lee. She's a yogi in New York City, and she has a yoga studio called Om Yoga. We're going to be doing two sets of sequences that are based on this. They're not exactly the same, but based on what's in this book. So again, just find a comfortable seated position. I'm sitting on a little pad. If you would like a towel to sit on, that would be great too. If this is your first time joining me, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. My name is Robin Bruckman. I've been teaching for almost 20 years now. This practice is based on a very slow movement, basing our movements with the breath, noticing our breath, keeping things within your comfort level. If I invite you to do something that your body doesn't want to do, please don't do it. Be responsible about your own health and safety. This practice should be accessible to all. We don't need any props today except for a pad to sit or kneel on if you like. And that could be a towel. I have this foam pad, but it doesn't matter. And if you don't want one, that's fine too. So Joyful invites you to come and be as flexible as she is. Wouldn't that be nice? It would. So again, we're just gonna wait a few minutes. And I'm so happy that you've decided to spend the next 45 minutes or so helping you feel better. Our goal today, as with every practice, is that we feel better getting up off our mat than we did coming down to the mat. So here at the beginning of your practice, just notice how you feel, coming into your practice, any areas of stiffness or soreness or ease, and just notice how you feel. Because we're going to be exploring a bunch of movements and a lot of standing poses today. We've sort of been looking at more seated poses, and it's time to look back at standing poses. So again, just a minute or so before we get started on our practice. And again, that gives you time to go get a towel or something that you would like to sit or kneel on. We will be doing some kneeling today. Joyful really loves our practice. She gets so excited when she sees my mat come out. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Find a comfortable seated position, whatever that means for you. I'm sitting in Sukhasana, or seated simple easy pose. Close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. And just notice how you feel right now, coming into your practice, coming down to your mat. Notice how your hips feel. Notice how your breath feels. Notice where your breath is. Allow your belly to be soft so the breath can be deep. Shoulders hang down from the ears. Neck is soft. Hips are released. Finding grounding through both seat bones. Arms are heavy. Hands are relaxed. I have my hands resting on my thighs. You can do whatever feels comfortable for you. This is your practice. And again, be very mindful of your body and how you are reacting to the practice. Be smart. Take good care of your own self. And here, as we begin to settle into our practice, I'm going to read a little paragraph out of this book. Today's practice is based on this book. It's called Om Yoga, written by Cindy Lee, who has a practice of the same name in New York City. The inhalation relates to getting taller, extending out into space, filling up with air, and filling up with prana, the life force. The exhalation is letting go, falling back into the center, softening, regenerating. We need both these directions to be complete. Try to make your inhalation and exhalation equal in length. Notice when you are holding your breath. Don't worry about it, but simply breathe and keep going. So I'm going to put the book aside. We will be basing today's practice on that book, but it's not going to be completely like that, but it's going to be pretty close. So now open your eyes, lace your fingers together, extend the arms overhead and begin to reach from side to side, opening that opposite side body, grounding that opposite hip, looking under that arm. Breath is easy. So as we begin to open the side body, hopefully that gives room for a deeper breath. Release your hands, interlace your hands behind you, palms away from the body, shoulder blades together in the back, looking up, opening the heart center. Noticing that this gives more room for breathing in the front side of the body. And release your hands, right hand down, left arm up overhead, stretching to the right, looking up underneath that left arm, grounding that left seat bone and left hip. They want to jump up and you just invite them to stay grounded. And press up, left hand down, right arm up, looking underneath that right arm, grounding that right hip and right seat bone, opening the right side of the rib cage. Allowing the expansion of the lungs and the ribs. And release, come back to center. Left hand on the right thigh, right hand behind you as a kickstand, lengthening the spine with an inhale. As you exhale, maybe a little bit more twist. The twist begins at the pelvis, comes up through the lower back, through the rib cage, and completes by the neck. The neck is not included in the twist. Gaze is down. As you inhale, the spine gets taller. As you exhale, maybe a little bit more twist. There's no need to push. There's no need to push at all during this practice. You'll find opening, I promise. Inhale, come back to center slowly. Right hand on the left knee. Left hand behind you as a kickstand, twisting a little bit to the left, leaving your neck out of the twist. Noticing how the twist feels in your body. Noticing that this side is different than the other side. One side is always easier, and that means one side is always less easy. And inhale, come back to center. We're going to repeat that. So left hand on the right knee, right hand behind you, lengthening the spine. Inhale, spine gets taller. Exhale, maybe a little bit more twist. Noticing what this repetition feels like compared to the previous one. Sometimes there's more opening, sometimes it's the same, it doesn't matter. And inhale back to center, right hand on the left knee, left hand behind you, and a simple twist to the left. Inhale back to center. All right, before we get into the main portion of our practice, we'll do a couple more warm-up poses. So let that right leg extend out to the side. Left leg stays bent at your thigh. Janu Shirshasana, which is typically translated as head to knee pose, but it's sometimes translated as head of the knee. So with that right leg extended, turn the body to face that right leg. With the back straight, come forward any amount. And it won't be it doesn't need to be a large amount, okay? I'm not using this as a forward bend right now. I want to keep that back bend feel in the body. I'm looking more for a little bit of opening on the left side body and the back of the thigh. And there may be some opening happening on that left hip as well. Janu Shirshasana. Inhale, come back to center. Right knee bends, left leg extends. Turning to face that left leg, coming forward any amount. And you can let your hands rest anywhere on your leg except on your knee. We want to protect your knee. Foot stays flexed, which also helps to protect the knee. Feeling the back bend, so it's an opening in the heart center. And noticing how this side feels different than the other side. And what's interesting to me personally is this direction has always been harder for me, and yet this is one of the poses that I do pretty frequently. And so now my two sides are fairly symmetrical. Really noticing where that feels an opening. Noticing if the areas of opening are different from one side to another. And then walk the hands back, come to center, extend both legs out as wide as you like. And then begin to walk your hands forward until you begin to feel an opening somewhere. It could be the inner thigh, could be the hamstring. Doesn't matter. The action is of pulling the hands towards you. Gaze is forward and up. We're going to revisit this configuration a little bit later in our practice. So this is just sort of allowing your body to understand what's going to happen. We're going to do this as a standing pose, but here it is as a seated pose. Upavista Konasana, which means seated forward bend, seated angle pose. And walk your hands back, bring the soles of the feet together, the feet away from the body a little bit. You can hold on to your shins and just allow your knees to fall apart as much as they're interested in doing today. This can be a pretty big opener for the inner thigh, maybe for the outer hip. I have a dear friend for whom this is not a pose at all. This is so simple for her. Her legs just flap down, and that has not been the case with this particular body that I own. So I find this to be a fairly significant opening. Breathing into the areas that require some opening. No force, there's no need to push anything. And now inhale, bring the knees back together, feet are flat on the floor, wiggle around a little bit. Okay, so now we begin the first portion of our Om Yoga practice. And this, Cindy Lee, the author of this book, considers this to be the warm-up sequence. So we'll go through this sequence 4 times. And she recommends doing it in 90 seconds for a sequence. And I find that it takes me a lot longer, and we're going to do it much more slowly than 90 seconds. So coming to hands and knees, and this is where the kneeling pad comes in handy because we're going to be on our knees for most of this warm-up sequence. We begin with cat and cow. So looking up, dropping the belly for cow. The action is of pulling your hands towards you. Exhale, pushing the hands away, rounding the back up, angry cat spine. Inhale to cow, pulling the hands towards you. Exhale to cat, pushing the hands away. Inhale to cow. Excuse me. Exhale to cat. And following your own breath. And if you've been sitting in a chair today, this may be something you do very slowly because you never want to hurt your back. You don't want to do anything too quickly that's going to cause your back to complain. All right, so as we continue with this action, notice that your shoulder blades slide along the back of your rib cage. So here the shoulder blades slide towards my head, and here they slide back towards my waist. Allowing that action to occur, encouraging that action. Coming to a neutral spine, and now we thread the needle to the right. So my left hand, palm up, slides underneath that right arm till the shoulder comes down towards the mat. Maybe it comes on the mat, mine doesn't. Breathing, notice this is a twist, primarily upper body, but it's a twist. Inhale, push up. Exhale, right hand slides underneath that left arm. Right shoulder approaches the mat. Inhale, press up. Hands walk a little bit in front of you. Tuck your toes, lift your pelvis, downward facing dog, Anho Mukha Svanasana with cat in the face pose. Legs are approaching straight. They don't need to be locked straight. Shoulder blades come towards the head. And then without squashing the cat, knees come down. Push back into child's pose. Oh, well, that's not all that helpful. All right, bother the cat. Come to standing on your knees into camel pose. So hands down your back pocket. Standing upright on your knees. Pressing the pelvis forward. Gaze is straight ahead of you. Pushing the pelvis a little more forward, a little more forward, a little more forward. Leaning back, maybe. So that puts a pretty good stretch on the front of the thigh. You probably noticed that. Now come to a neutral position. Right hand down, left arm comes up overhead, side stretch to the right, looking up underneath that left arm. Coming back, right arm up, looking underneath that right arm. Come back to neutral. So that's one sequence. We're going to do this again. So come to table pose, cat and cow. And as we do this sequence again, notice as we continue if anything has changed. So cat and cow. Pulling your hands towards you in cow, pressing away in cat. And come to a neutral spine, thread the needle. So left hand threads underneath that right shoulder. Left shoulder approaches the mat. Feeling the width across your low back. And press up. Right hand comes down. Right shoulder approaches the mat. And press up. Hands a little bit farther forward. Tuck your toes, lift the pelvis, downward facing dog. Heels go in the direction of the mat. Knees go in the direction of straight. Knees come down, press back into child's pose. And you can let your pelvis rest on your feet. I don't have the knee flexion to do that, so that's not my demo. And come to stand on your knees, camel pose, Ustrasana. Hands down your back pocket. Pressing the pelvis forward, noticing if this time feels different. And then let that right hand come down, left arm up, looking underneath that left arm, side stretch on the left side. Release that side, right arm up, stretching the right side of the rib cage, right side of the body. And release, come back to table pose. So that's 2 repetitions. We'll do 2 more repetitions. Cat and cow. This can be your whole practice for a day because we got forward bend, back bend, side bend, twists, a little bit of inversion. So this is a pretty complete practice, even though it's pretty low key. Thread the needle to the right. Left arm comes underneath that right arm. And inhale, press up. Exhale, right arm twist, sends underneath that left elbow.
And press up, arms out in front, child's pose. Inhale, standing on your knees, hands down your back pocket, camel pose. Looking up. Right hand down, left arm up, side stretched on the left side. Inhale up, exhale, inhale, right arm up, stretching the right side of the body. And come back to table pose. Pet the cat. Cat and cow. Come to neutral, thread the needle. Inhale up. Exhale, thread that right arm underneath. Inhale up, hands a little bit farther forward. Press the pelvis up, downward facing dog. Exhale the knees down, child's pose. And inhale, come to stand on your knees, Ustrasana, camel pose. Pushing the pelvis forward. And then right arm down, left arm up. And switch sides. And release. So that's 4 sequences, and we did the same pieces, but not all in the same order. So it doesn't really matter if you don't exactly remember the order. The sequences aren't that critical, but it's forward bend, back bends, twist, side bend. You know, we're getting all of the benefits of a practice. So now we come to standing. I'm going to move my pad out of the way. Try not to hit my ceiling fan, so I'm going to come to the back of my mat. Shoulders are down. Inhale, hands to heart center. Exhale. Inhale again, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. So you place your hands anywhere on your leg or on the floor, anywhere on your leg except on your knees. Back stays fairly flat. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart center. So this is half sun salutation. Inhale up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart center. And release down. So now we're going to come to warrior one. So for warrior one, the pelvis stays parallel to the short side of your mat. So I'm at the back of my mat. Wherever you are in your mat, you're going to spread your feet about 3.5 feet apart. So the front foot, my right foot, faces straight forward. The left foot points about 3/4 forward. Pelvis is straight towards the front of the mat. Bend the front knee any amount. And from here, lift the arms up. Allow the shoulder blades to come down the body. Now exhale, fold the upper body forward over that front leg and let your hands come down towards the mat. And then inhale, come back to warrior one, Virabhadrasana 1. Front leg is bent. And now let your hands come down onto the pelvic rim. You're going to turn your pelvis to face the side of the mat. Open your stance. So the back foot still points forward about 45 degrees, front foot points straight ahead, but your pelvis is about 3/4 to the side here. Bending that front knee. Extend the arms out to the side, Virabhadrasana 2, warrior 2. Gaze is over the middle finger of that front arm. Notice that standing poses generate a lot of heat in the body. And now bending that front arm, placing it on that front knee. Left arm extends over the head. Again, bending that front knee any amount. The knee needs to stay behind the ankle. But other than that, any amount. If you feel like you have more bend available, move your back foot back. Side angle pose. Inhale back to warrior one. And now the back arm goes down, front arm comes up, gaze is forward and up. Reverse warrior. Come back to warrior two. Straighten the front leg, and you're going to turn both feet towards the side of your mat and a little bit pigeon-toed. So your toes point in a little bit more than your heels. So in this pose, Prasarita Padottanasana, or standing forward bend, wider is easier. When your feet are closer together, it's a little bit more intense. So from here, folding at the hip hinge, back is flat, hands reach down towards the mat. Petting the cat if she's in the way. Knees are in the direction of straight, but not locked straight. And as we stay here for several breaths, you may find there's a little bit more room to be had. You may be able to come down a little bit more. Inhale, come up. And we're going to do the other side. So I'm going to turn around so that I don't have my back towards you. So left foot is forward, right foot is back. Right foot points forward about 30, 35 degrees. Warrior one, arms overhead. And noticing that one side is always easier. That means one side is always harder. So if you see the placement of my feet, they're a little bit wide on the mat, and that's for balance. Traditionally, the pose is done with the two heels in alignment, the two inner heels. And if I do that, I'll tip over, so I don't do that. And release the arms, widen the stance a little bit. Pelvis turns more towards the side of the mat. Warrior Two, Virabhadrasana 2. And bend that front elbow, place it on that front knee. Right arm comes up overhead. Gaze is underneath that right shoulder, right arm. Side angle pose. Parshvottanasana. Parshvakonasana, my bad. Inhale up, Warrior Two. Exhale, back arm goes down, front arm comes up, gaze is up. Reverse Warrior. And come back to Warrior Two, facing the side of your mat. Widen the stance if you like. Feet point in, so you're a little pigeon-toed. Folding at the hip hinge. Prasarita Padottanasana, standing forward bend. So this is the second time we've done this pose. So notice if it's any different than the first time. How did I know that was going to happen? It's helpful to have a kitty help you with your forward bends. Now disturb the cat, come back to standing, and walk your feet back together. And shake it out and notice how you feel. And from here, we're going to come back down to your mat, onto your back body. Knees are bent, feet are hip width apart. Pull each shoulder blade underneath your body and press your hands down into the mat and press your pelvis up, bridge pose, Setubandha Sarvangasana. And now allow the pelvis to come down towards the mat, but not all the way. And then press back up. Down you come, not all the way. And press back up. This time come down all the way. Pull your knees into your chest. Wrap your hands around your knees and wiggle left and right. Allow your hands to come down, feet come down to the mat. Feet are close together now. Reset your shoulders on the mat. Place your left ankle on your right knee. Let that left knee fall out to the side. Pick the whole assembly up. Wrap your hands somewhere around your right leg, either behind the thigh or in front of the shin. Rolling from side to side if that feels good to you. Eye of the needle. And come back to neutral. Release your hands. Let both feet come down to the mat. Wiggle your knees around a little bit. And then right ankle on the left knee and draw the whole assembly up. Rocking side to side if that feels good to you.
And then release your hands. Let both knees come down to the mat. Wiggle around a little bit. Notice how you feel. Come back to neutral. Hands away from the body. Feet are mat width apart now. And then let both knees fall to the right, looking to the left. Duryodhasana. So in this pose, the left side of the pelvis comes up a little bit. That's fine. Inhale the knees up. Exhale, knees fall to the left. Gaze is to the right. Right side of the pelvis comes up a little bit. Inhale up. Exhale, knees fall to the right, looking to the left. Inhale up. Exhale, knees fall to the left, looking to the right. Shoulders stay flat on the mat here. The pelvis can come up a little bit, but the shoulders stay flat. So this pose is a really nice reset to the whole body after an active practice. Inhale the knees up. Exhale, knees fall to the right. Gaze is to the left. Left shoulder stays down. Left hip may come up. It's just very soothing to the body. Inhale the knees up. Exhale, knees fall to the left. Gaze is to the right. Inhale the knees up. I'm going to sit up. You can start setting up for Shavasana. So let your legs come straight on the mat. Pull each shoulder blade underneath your body so your palms face up. Close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. Allow yourself to be fully supported by the mat, by the floor, by the earth. Allow your brain to rest in the back of the skull. Your eyes rest softly in the socket. Breath is easy. Facial features are soft. Your tongue is quiet in the bottom of the mouth. Jaw slightly parted. Back of the neck is long and free. Throat is open. Feel your shoulder blades flat on the floor. Collarbones are long. Arms are heavy. Fingers slightly curled. Feel the back of your rib cage moving with your breath. Feel your sternum rising and falling with the breath. Lower back is long and wide. Belly is soft. Allow your organs to rest towards your back body. Feel your sacrum resting flat on the floor. Allow the wings of your pelvis to open. Thighs are heavy. feet are relaxed. Return to the sensation of the breath. Allow your inhale to invigorate your entire body. Allow the exhale as a reset. Inhale and exhale even. The breath flows completely and easily. I'll give you the little reading. The inhalation relates to getting taller, extending out into space, filling up with air and prana, the life force. The exhalation is letting go, falling back into the center, softening and regenerating. We need both of these directions to be complete. Make your inhalation and exhalation equal in length. Notice if you are holding your breath. Don't worry about it. Simply notice and keep going. And now with a deeper breath, begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. Bend your knees, place your feet on the mat. Gently roll to your right side and rest there. And press yourself up to seated. Bring your hands to heart center. Bow your head to your heart. I honor the place within you where the entire universe exists. I honor the place within you of peace, of joy, of light, and of love. I honor the place within you where, if you were in that place in you, and I am in that place in me, there can be only one of us. Namaste. Rub your palms together to generate warmth. Place your palms over your closed eyes. Open your eyes into the darkness and return your hands to heart center. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today. I really appreciate you coming. I hope this has been a blessing for you. And notice how you feel as you get up from the mat. The goal is that we feel better getting up from the mat than we did coming down to the mat. Thank you so much for coming. Let me know in the comments how this worked for you. Thank you so much. And thank you, Joyful, for your assistance. Good kitty.